paramount, not only for their individual features, but also for the prosperity and development of our dear nations in Africa. Sustainable Development Goal 4 is dedicated to ensuring access to quality education, resonates deeply with our mission today, which is access to quality education for all. Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is popularly known as quality education, is a very vital part of United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It focuses on providing inclusive, equitable, and high quality education for all, irrespective of the gender. SDG 4 also promotes literacy, numeracy, and skill development. It also promotes gender equality and effective teaching. SDG 4 also emphasizes on lifelong learning. It recognizes that education extends beyond formal schooling, and it also helps individuals to adapt to a changing world. Ultimately, Sustainable Development Goals aim to empower individuals for personal and societal growth while contributing to global sustainability and progress. VET programs have emerged as a beacon for hope for African youth. It offers practical job-ready skills that address the pressing issue of unemployment in Africa, and it also equips our young people with the tools that they need to succeed in this rapidly changing world. These programs also have the potentials to reduce gender discrepancy in education, and it also fosters entrepreneurship by further aligning it with the broader goals of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. As we embark on this dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, it is impossible to ignore the immense significance of education in shaping the future of our dear continent, Africa. Sustainable Development Goal 4, which emphasize on exclusive, equitable, quality education for all, serve as a guiding beacon for our aspiration. We recognize that education is not just a fundamental human right, it also serves as a catalyst for change. It serves as a key to unlocking the potential of our youth and the cornerstone upon which our sustainable development hinges. The challenges before us are profound and multifaceted. Africa is a home to becoming youth population. Harnessing their energy, creativity, talent is very paramount for our collective progress. Vocational education and training offers a dynamic avenue to address these challenges before us. Ladies and gentlemen, during our discussed role of training in transforming the lives of African youth, we'll also dive into strategies that will make vocational education more inclusive and more accessible towards the marginalized group in Africa. It also dive into the relevance of industry
One
training
daughter
and
Jimmy,
how
one boy, I can What about the
please
no
excuse me.
option? No option.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's as if somebody is playing a game and it's distracting us. Though we have not gotten to the phase that will set the rules of engagement, I encourage you all, ladies and gentlemen, to please mute your camera. Thank you for the cooperation. Through our discussion today, let's keep it in mind the urgency of our mission. The clock is ticking and the challenges are immense in Africa. But with collaboration, innovation, and a shared commitment to education for our youth, we can turn these challenges into towards a greater opportunities for growth, for progress, and prosperity of our dear continent. I encourage each of you to participate actively, share your thoughts, and ask questions. By the end of our discussion, we hope to emerge with a deeper understanding of how vocational education training can indeed be a way forward for African youth as we work collectively towards achieving sustainable development goal for quality education. Thank you, and let's embark on this important journey. I welcome you all to this workshop series. I am going to be your moderator for the day. My name is Mohammed Faisal Abdullahi, and we have our speakers for today, quality education advocates. I will give them the floor to do a self-introduction for 5 minutes. Thank you very much. You are once again welcome to this workshop series. Um, our dear speakers, please, you have 5 minutes to do a quick self-introduction before our esteemed guests and participants. Mr. Courage. Okay, let's go to the second speaker for today. Ms. Chioma, are you available, please, for a self-introduction? Okay. Third speaker, Ms. Chinazum Eze.
I'm available. Good evening,
Please,
everyone. Can you all hear me?
yes, we can hear you. You have the floor
Okay.
for a self-introduction before.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ezim Chinazo Hereta. I'm a legal practitioner. I have my own firm, Ezim Chamber. I'm happy to be here. I'm the third speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chinanzo Eze. Our first speaker, Mr. Courage Emogon. Please, are you online for a self-introduction?
Sorry, Mr. Moderator. Courage is our second speaker, please.
I'm working with the slides.
But
Sorry.
still,
Okay.
yes,
Ms.
Courage
Choma,
is the second speaker, but let him still introduce himself if he's
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. A big shout out to our SDG family. I want to say thank you all for joining us. My name is Emovo Courage. I'm CEO GII Limited and also a co-founder of Mindspring Academy. Thank you all for having me on the call.
thank you very much, Mr. Courage. Can we have Ms. Choma, please?
Oh, good evening, all. Can you hear me?
Yes, go on, please.
Okay, my name is Engineer Choma Aro. I am a lecturer at the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I am passionate about giving quality education to everybody. I believe everyone deserves to have education, deserves to get quality education. So that is my passion. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful self-introduction from our three speakers and a quality education advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, our agenda for today is vocational education training, the way forward for African youth. Our session is divided into two segments. We have part one and part two. Without wasting much time, let's set the ball rolling. We have a rules of engagement. Please, we'll encourage our speakers to put their mic on mute until they are asked to ask a question or make observation. They can unmute their mic. And for the speakers, you have 15 minutes each to make your presentation. So after the whole presentation, we'll get to the second segment where we take questions and answer from the audience, and we have a little quiz exercise. Please, I'll encourage you all to be mindful of your timing. Thank you very much. You're welcome once again. Our participants, please, if you have a question, you can draw it on the comment box. Then we can give you the opportunity to ask your question. Thank you very much. Let's have our first speaker for today for his presentation. First speaker, please. Speakers. Okay, Engineer Choma Aro, you have the floor for 15 minutes.
Okay. Good evening once again. I'm so glad to be here. So the topic So the topic of my presentation is empowering the African youth, a comprehensive approach to vocational education and training. As I said earlier, my name is Chioma Aro. Okay, so we start by defining what vocational education is. So basically, in simple terms, we can refer to vocational education as any form of training that helps an individual to get or gather hands-on experience. It involves, it can be certified or not certified, but typically helps you gain experience, hands-on experience. So this picture actually depicts many parts of vocational education, as many aspects of vocational education. We have the service apprentice, practical apprenticeship, we have e-learning, we have goals, as in different facets, different things related to vocational education, different things that make vocational education training a success. So we can see from this diagram or this illustration or this chart that when you come to vocational education, we have the service apprenticeship, we have the practical apprenticeship. So for instance, let me just differentiate the two for the want of time. Service apprenticeship has to do with gaining of soft skills, that skills that are targeted at providing a particular service. For instance, human relations or public speaking or public relations, customer management, hospitality, those kind of skills. While practice apprenticeship has to do with gaining hands-on skill. You learn on the job. For instance, carpentry. So you could see that, yes, both of them are different, but they are types of vocational education. So this particular diagram now is you can say the facets of vocational education. So we see technical secondary education, we see technical education, we see higher technical education. They are all linking to the labor market. You see initial training, further training. These link to vocational training. We see certified program, non-certified program leading to vocational training. We see formal training, apprenticeship, all leading to vocational training, which goes back to the labor market. So you see that when we succeed with vocational training, we are actually feeding the labor market. We are making it more viable. We're making people more employable, thereby making the labor market more interesting. Let me put it that way. So the next slide, please. Okay, so here we need to talk about the importance of vocational education. The importance. The first thing you see there is global mobility. Global mobility. When you gain relevant skills that have global relevance, you become employable, you can move around. You don't just become a local champion, you don't remain in one place, you can move around. And we have economic growth. In the situation we find ourselves with the declining economic situation in the country and of course in the continent and all, I think it's important we invest in vocational education because it will make more people, it will equip more people, make more people useful, make more people have some sort of liquidity. They will have some sort of income, making the economy grow. It also leads to entrepreneurship. People will create more ideas to solve more problems. They will have the required skill set to do that. It leads to workplace readiness. You are ready to be employed. You have the skills. Vocational education will equip you with the skills so that when you get out to the industry, whoever is employing you is already employing someone that is good enough. It doesn't need to come and start training you on the job again. He's employing someone with skills. Even if he needs to train you, it's just additional training. Then we talk about flexibility. In this day and time, people have so many commitments. For instance, nursing mothers may not have the capacity to work 8 to 5. But if you have vocational education training, some sort of it, you can have the flexibility that you require to balance your life out. Then we talk about career pathways. It creates a lot of career pathways. It mustn't be the conventional blue collar jobs. You could find your own niche with the skills you have acquired. It also addresses skill shortage. When we look at the industries and we know the type of skills they require, we can target that skills and then equip youths, more youths with those kind of skills that are in demand. Then it also helps skills development. As I said earlier, when you develop these skills, you become relevant, you become needed. And when you are being employed, your employer is happy, your employer is satisfied, doesn't need to start training you all over again. You are coming with something to bargain with. You are bringing something to the table. It gives you more value. You don't have to start all over again. So that's the benefit. That's some of the importance. These are not all the importance, some of the importance of vocational and education training. So can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, so we are talking about these things, but it is important we know that there are major stakeholders involved in VET implementation. Without these stakeholders, we'll be all talk and no work. We'll just talk. So key among them is government agencies. We have the policy. They can also be referred to as the policy makers. They are the ones to put these policies in place. They are the ones to make sure these policies are working. They are the ones to make sure that the barriers, the things that are hindering the progress or the implementation of these policies are removed. We have the funding bodies. We know that vocational education, they are hands-on skills. It requires some sort of funding to get what you need to practicalize with. So we talk about the funding bodies as a critical stakeholder in the implementation of vocational and educational training. Example, the African Development Bank. We talk about the VET institutions. The state of the VET institutions, the management, the administration, they are important. They are major stakeholders in the implementation of VET education. We talk about the industry, because the industries are the consumers. They consume the final product of what we churn out. So they are the ones to tell us the kind of skill sets that are in demand. They are the ones to tell us what they expect. They are the ones to say what they need. So they become a major stakeholder, because if there's a mismatch between what you are giving and what you are bringing out and what is needed, then they cannot be employed. We have the instructors. It is important to classify the instructors as stakeholders because they can't give what they don't have. So the state or the level of preparedness of the instructors goes a long way. In order to do this, we may have to organize training sessions, skill acquisition sessions, just to make sure that your instructors know what they are doing. We have the advocacy groups. These groups are the ones championing this cause. They sing it like a song. They sing it like a song while going to bed, sing it like a song while waking up, preach it like the gospel. Make sure that everybody is hearing about it and take it to wherever it needs to be heard. So they are very important. Then we talk about the media, social media, conventional media, hard prints, whatever, the media. They are the ones to pass this message, to carry it along. So these are the major stakeholders that are very important in the implementation of the vocational and education training. So with that, I'll call on the next speaker to continue.
Madam, speaker, you have 5 more minutes.
You said?
Thank you very much, Engineer Shoma Aro. Thank you very much for the presentation. We'll have our next speaker in person of Mr. Courage Emo.
Thank you so much, our moderator. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome everybody once again, and a big shout out to our first speaker. You deserve an award for bringing us to speed on the values and importance of vocational education. Now, my name is Emovon Courage, and in the short possible time, I'll try as much as possible to incline you with more on the SDG 4 and how vocational education is important and valuable in achieving the SDG 4 target. As we all know, the Sustainable Development Goals has targets for each goals, and it is wise for us to understand the importance and also link them to know how best we can enjoy the vocational education. Thank you so much, our moderator, once again. Thank you, our co-host, SA. Please, can you switch to the next slide? Can you please switch to the next slide, please? So, going forward, I don't think she's here. Maybe she's having a talk. I don't know. Going forward, these are the different sustainable goals available, and our concentration is on quality education, which is SDG 4. Thank you so much. Please, let's move to the next slide. Let's move fast. Thank you so much. Now, we need to understand that SDG 4 has targets, and each of the targets are clearly spelled out. But the first one says by 2030, we need to ensure that all boys and girls complete free, equitable, and primary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcome. The goal of SDG 4 generally, we need to have this broad understanding, is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. As we all know, education is a continuous process, and it has no age limit. I've seen someone who is 60 years and he's still going to school. He has the passion of getting a PhD. He has the passion of diversifying his knowledge. Thank you so much. Let's move to the next slide. Now, we need to understand that the vocational education, the VET program, can play a crucial role in achieving the SDG 4. And it focuses, once again, on inclusive and equitable quality education, and also promoting the lifelong learning opportunities for all. Now, there are several ways VET can contribute to SDG 4, and we'll be looking at them in the shortest possible time. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you. All right. Now, number one thing, just like what the speaker said, the first speaker said, is skills development. We need to understand that one of the targets of SDG 4 is increase the number of people with relevant skills for financial success. As we all know, having on-hand skills, having these skills gives you a plus. Now, if you have to choose between two persons, person A, who does not have any skill, all he knows is just to sit down and wake up, and person B, who has a very specific skills. Now, depending on what you are looking for, you go for who has a skill. Now, at the moment, being a computer literate is an added advantage to any job you are looking for. They always tell you they want to know your computer literacy level. That means they are looking for a skill that is readily available. So those persons who can work with Microsoft Word, who can work with Excel, they have an added advantage. In fact, somebody shared a testimony with me and said he learned Excel when he was very young. And that same Excel, just that same Excel, gave him a wonderful opportunity when, as at last year. And at the moment, that is what is feeding him and his family. Now, skill development, the VET program are designed to equip individuals with practical skills. Now, there are skills that makes you relevant to the labor market, because providing vocational education, countries can help bridge the skill gap. As we all know, workforce is low everywhere. Now, there are some jobs that are applicable to some set of persons. There are some jobs that people would not do. Now, I saw somebody one day, and I was admiring the fact that they are picking waste from the ground and converting it to money, and I was interested. And the person said, the problem is nobody's willing to do this kind of job. go up and down and pick waste. Now we need to understand that the SDG for the targets to ensure that people have skills for the financial market. You can wake up one morning and say, okay, I am relevant in this field. So we need to understand that the VET program gives you practical skill, on-hand skills. We have lots of persons who have testimonies, not just in Africa, not just in Nigeria, but also in Africa. We need to have this understanding that people are moving not just in academics line alone, but they are also moving in the vet line, because everybody, after you finish school, you have a certificate. The question is, what next? Somebody said to me, labor market is no more favorable. I said, that's why it's called the labor market. You have to labor your way. So now we need to understand that it bridges the gap, the skill gap. Let's move to the next slide, please. It bridges the gap. Now, the next picture, the next slide, you can see some set of persons trying to acquire skill. If you have a master's degree, for example, and you don't have any other skill apart from that, you'll be restricted and confined to a particular niche, which is limited or to your career. But you can get trainings, definitely, because these days, while hiring, I've seen a lot of companies do what they call training and retraining. They take you on training and teach you what they want you to know. But there are some persons with added advantage who has this training already. Now that's why if you are trying to apply for some jobs, you see some funny requirements. Now, having these skills puts you on an edge because it gives you skills that can help you even become successful without working or getting a white collar job. You can discover that I worked for somebody some time ago. He didn't go to school. His highest qualification was primary 6, but I worked for him. So what we are saying this evening, we need to understand that this is a sector that is still fresh. The VET sector needs to be exploited. We need to understand that the skills you acquire can pave way for you. If you have to go with statistics, not everybody who went to conventional universities is actually working in that line. Please, let's go to the next slide, please. So what next can it offer? We need to have an understanding also that the VET program creates inclusive education. It promotes inclusive education by catering for a wide range of learners, including those that may not excel in traditional academic settings. Now, there are some persons who go through school, but they don't make it. They have carryovers, not because they are dumb, no, not because they are dull, no, but sometimes we end up studying what we don't really want. When I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. At the end of the day, I found myself in education. But the truth is this, a lot of persons just go to school because our parents, it's just like a norm. Everybody wants to go to school. Everybody wants to go to school. Nobody's really focusing on what they can do. And that is why the Western world are actually progressing. You see a young child in China is able to manufacture small cars. What qualification does he have? We're not looking at that. I shared a testimony about, I call it a testimony because I was impressed, about a young boy who dismantled the dashboard of a Mercedes-Benz to fix the AC. And I was impressed because the boy is not even a graduate. So we need to understand that not everyone can function or excel in the normal academic settings. The VET program can be adopted to meet the needs not just of those set of persons, but also people with disabilities. Now, the fact that A and B are disabled doesn't mean they are useless, doesn't mean they are no longer relevant. You can focus on VET program and be outstanding. At the end of the day, regardless of your disability, you can be employing people who are first class, people who are looking okay, depending on how good you want to take your business. And you need to understand that the VET ensures that no one is left behind. Because these days, there's a saying that school na scam. It became a trend at one time. Because after going to school, you discover that people leave the school, they leave their certificate, and they start going for vet programs. They start learning how to sew. They start learning how to weld, etc. Now, let's move to the next slide, please. So now, the next slide, you can see someone who, at the moment, is smiling. The reason why he's smiling is not because he has eaten 3 square meals. No. This is why he's smiling, because he is relevant to the society. He's relevant to the community, because on his own, despite he's on a wheelchair, he can tell you for a fact that he's still good in carpentry, because you don't need to fully walk on your feet to do carpentry. You don't need to walk fully on your feet to sew shoe. You don't need to fully work on your feet to sew clothes. These
5
are
more
these
minutes.
are
Thank you.
Marissa, these are avenues we can enjoy using the VET program. Now let's move to the next slide also. Now we also need to understand that the VET program is accessible. Everybody, no matter where you are, is accessible. It provides practical skills, so it can be within your locality. You don't have to travel far and wide. A lot of persons, they grew up in Lagos, but grew up in somewhere in your locality, but you end up going far away for the normal academic studies and institutions and all. But the VET program is always around you. Let's go to the next slide. It's always around you. So we need to understand that it's accessible and it's affordable. Now, also we need to understand that the VET program is tailored for a lifelong learning experience. We need to have that understanding. As adults, you can enroll for VET program regardless of where you are, regardless of how old you are. No matter, there's no end to learning. Even if you are 50 years, you can choose to pick up a course in sewing and you will do wonders. And it aligns with the target 6, which says universal literacy and numeracy, meaning everybody needs to know how to read and write. Everybody needs to understand, knows how to count. So the VET program can be customized to meet some specific areas. So you don't need to say, okay, I'm shy in this regard. No, it's open for all. Let's go to the next slide. Now, we also need to understand that it's a practical thing. It's a practical thing. You are doing it. You are earning. You are seeing the effect in your life. My wife is a med-lab scientist. She stood up one day and she said she wants to go into sewing. I didn't stop her, although she still falls back to the lab anyway. We need to understand that no matter what you have achieved, no matter your educational status, you can key into VET and you can enjoy. Let's move to the last slide as we close. So I want to say thank you to everybody on the call for listening. And if you have questions, please drop them at the comment section. We need to understand, lastly, that VET program is a powerful tool in achieving SDG 4 by addressing skills gap, promoting inclusivity, empowering women, facilitating lifelong experience, partnership, and collaboration. Thank you so much for having me on this call. And I believe after you drop, after the Zoom meeting, you will key into the VET program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Courage Emovan. That's a very wonderful presentation, very quick and precise. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to the third speaker for today. I'm person of Barrister Chinazom Ezim. Barrister, you have the floor for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Thank you, Courage. Thank you, Choma, for making the floor good and wonderful for me. I'll be talking on the goals of vocational education and training for youths in Africa. That's to cap it all, the way forward. We know that Africa is facing youth empowerment crisis. This is due to the fact that there is oversupply of social science and business graduates, but fewer opportunities for them. We have sectors such as agribusiness, human experience teachers, digital skills that have high vacancies, but few manpower. Youth unemployment rate in Africa, according to the 2023 International Labour Organization data, states that 11.2% of African youths, those aged between 15 to 24 years old, are unemployed. How can we bridge this gap? Spectators are saying that quality vocational education and training in Africa is the way forward to bridge that gap. The VET orientation towards the world of work and the acquisition of employable skill means that it is well placed to address skills mismatch. We see that in Africa, what we study is not what we are doing. That's the skill mismatch we are talking about. So how can we bridge that gap of skill mismatch? The former Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bokova, said that Africa is witnessing a young generation frustrated by the chronic mismatch between skills and work. The best answer to the economic downturn and youth unemployment is to ensure that young people acquire basic skills and relevant training they need to enter the world of work. Recent evidence suggests that vocational education and training yields higher return than the tertiary and secondary education that we had. It focuses on providing work, and that work is relevant in the society. Countries like Germany and Austria have embedded the system of vocational training and also have been successful in maintaining low youth employment rates. Why can't we Africans achieve this? We can achieve this. We have all the resources in Africa to achieve this. We have the oil well, we have golds. What we don't have is the manpower and the industries that will help us to achieve these goals. The first and second speaker, they talked about the roles of vocational education and the benefits. It gives us practical skills, job readiness, relevance. When Chioma, our first speaker, talked on relevance, vocational education program, they are tailored to meet the specific needs of industries and local job markets. For example, if in Africa, we want to be exporting food to other countries, we need to go into agriculture, cultivate in mass, and we need people to learn how to do that. So vocational education is the way forward that will bring us out in the world. What are the benefits? Choma talked about entrepreneurship, while Corey talked on inclusivity. In Africa, we know that we have diverse languages. So artificial intelligence is here to help us solve that problem. Now, Google Translator can translate African languages. This is a form of VET because you have to learn it. It's a skill, it's a technological skills that you need to learn. So this can help our vocational education and training. For example, in some of the sub-Saharan Africa, where most young people are not in school and they communicate only in their mother tongue, you can use this artificial intelligence, this Google Translator, to teach them online and teach them even anywhere, and they will be able to understand you. Now we'll dive into the solutions for a functional vocational education. Institutionalization of VET. How can we institutionalize VET, vocational education, sorry? With the rapid technological growth and globalization, VET in Africa needs to undergo major transformation, keep up to date with labor market analysis and skills forecast to ensure that their services are forward-looking and pertinent. Vocational education and training institutions should undergo major transformation by engaging international and private sectors and deepening the understanding of labor market demands, expand offer for career guidance on job and soft skill training. Another way that we can proper solution is by improving market orientation in planning and upgrade the image of vocational education. We know that we see vocational education as second citizen. Everybody wants to go to a university to study law, to study social sciences, but VET is the way forward. This is where we can make our money, enter into industries and make wave. We are to identify and forecast future skills to ensure that these requirements can be incorporated into education and training. South Africa said that they will start with their industries. The jobs available are those that in the kind of courses that they will offer in the university. So if you are to enroll, you have to pick from the vocational education and training that they have to offer before you can enter into any institution in South Africa. It is essential to develop accurate sources of information on skill needs and capacity in enterprises and public training institutions. Building good links between training institutions and enterprises. Number 3, increase work-based learning and change the concept of apprenticeship. We graduates, we don't need apprenticeship again. What we need is internship because we already have the skills. But for those that don't have the skills, they need apprenticeship. Apprenticeship means that you are starting from the beginning. So what we need is the provision of work-based and practice-based learning. Work-based and practice-based. You work, you go to the industry. Let me take, for example, the industry that produces technologies that we use. We are all using our phones and laptops to connect. Instead of learning, oh, computers, when you bring this tool and bring this tool, you merge it together, you are there. You are seeing it physically, what they are doing, and you are learning. When you finish that work base, you go to the classroom and learn from the classroom. Number 4, adequate funding of vocational education. When we talk about funding, that is where the problem comes. We know that our government cannot fund vocational education on their own. So we need parastatals, we need NGOs, we need individuals to collaborate and make vocational education in Africa to go global. We need people to come from America to Africa so that they can join our vocational education institution. We don't want the local league again. We want international league where we can make changes. Africa, we always consume. Now we are not supposed, we don't need to be consumers. We need to be producers. Number 5, paying adequate salaries. Paying adequate salaries to vocational education teachers and ensuring availability of materials and maintaining vocational education institutions in Africa. We need to guide youths on the vocational training to pick up. Now, there is a contract, will I call it a partnership signed by African Development Bank with Google today. So what is the essence of this partnership? They want youth to build wealth, invest in technology. So that is the essence of this partnership. So that kind of thing will help people, African youths, to know more about technology. Google is a good market. It is a place where the young ones can learn, upgrade themselves, and play in the international field. We need to boost the image of vocational education by giving scholarships. When we start making people to understand the impact of vocational education by giving them school kits and mentoring them, we will see that vocational education, children will now and youth will now be selecting if they want to go to university or if they want to go to a vocational institution. Recommendations. We recommend structural change that can lead to work and skill balance. What you studied should be what you will give out. Let the organization that you are going into be about what you studied in school. Number 2, engaging stakeholders in the design and delivery of vocational education and training. We should make sure that the number of people trained in different occupations matches labor market needs, ensuring a strong involvement of social partners in determining VET policies and provision, either through consultation or directly within decision-making processes. African countries should construct effective mechanisms to involve social partners at each governance level where VET policy is being determined, balance governance arrangement and responsiveness at the regional and local level. The governance of a vocational education and training system relates to the structure, how it's operated, how it's being financed. For example, when different organizations are taking up the role and creating vocational institutions, there will be discrepancies. So to remove that discrepancies, balanced governance arrangements should occur using skills intelligence in VET. I've talked about it. Developing robust tools to regulate access skill needs at national, regional, and sectoral level. One of the tools we should allow for a detailed analysis of labor market outcome is that in artificial intelligence. Create a knowledge sharing platform. This, the one that we are using here, this platform that we are giving is a knowledge sharing platform, and is helping us. Before, some of us don't know what VET is all about. We just know that it's vocational education. We know it as a layman, sewing, welding, but now it has advanced. Artificial intelligence is a vocational education. Those that build cars is vocational education. So we need to buckle up and share what the world are sharing, are gaining in vocational education. I will end this with Dr. Charles Chikunda from University of Zimbabwe. To achieve a transformation of sustainability, it is crucial to develop curricula that align with the requirements of the current job market and integrate sustainability into this curricula. It is of utmost importance for teachers to raise awareness among their trainees about the significance of sustainable action. Be the change that you want to see. Thank you. It's time for questions. If you have any question, you can ask.
Okay, good evening. My name is Kote, and I will be taking you through this quiz session. I want to say a big kudos to all the presenters. Well done, you guys have done amazingly well. We're very impressed. Just to ensure that everyone is following the presentation, we're going to have like a bit of a game session. So this is how it will go. Can everyone hear me? Please confirm you can hear me with a thumbs up.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so this is how the game is going to go. We have 7 questions in all, and we want you to pick a number. Pick a number, and I'm going to read the question out to you, and then you tell us answer. So I'm waiting for the first vote here. Number two. Okay, I have number 2 for Mr. Tony. Mr. Tony, your question goes off. Give me a second to read it out to you. Okay. How many target does SDG 4 have? I have 3 options for you. Number A5, B6, C7. A5, B6, C7. Mr. Tony, over to you. You can unmute. Mr. Tony Duru, are you there? Okay. Is anyone willing to answer that question? How many targets does SDG 4 have? A5. Okay, I can see from Cameroon, Mabo said 7 targets from Zim. Thank you guys, you are correct. Okay. Number 2 or 3. Okay, Zim, you picked number 3, Zim Energy. Okay, your question goes as, everyone can become relevant to vocational education training, true or false?
True.
You want to elaborate a little bit on why you said true?
Sorry, come again with your question.
Okay, I said everyone can be relevant with vocational education training, true or false? You picked true. So why did you pick true? Do you want to elaborate a little?
Okay. Vocational education and training encompass both the traditional education or the modern education, which we term to be the formal education and the informal education. It tries to bridge a gap between the formal and the informal, that is trying to interrogate both of them, so that those people who engage in vocational education who see those people doing the conventional education are superior, and those people in this doing conventional education will also see the VET students as inferior. So it is hand in glove. It tries to bring both of them together and to foster a sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zane. That was very, knowledgeable of you. Now we have number 3, Uganda, Annie David. You have picked
Listen, please.
Okay.
Anyone who should unmute their mic, please. Don't do this is for participation, so don't do it in the chat box. Unmute your mic and speak. Pick your number and also answer your question with your mic, please. We want to hear your voice. Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead now? All right, number 3, David. David from Uganda, you picked number 3. Your question goes as, what efforts are being made to improve the accessibility and affordability of vocational education for youth in remote and undeserved area of Africa? What efforts? Now, I do not have option for you. I just need you to explain from knowledge. Okay. What efforts are made to improve? Go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. Good evening. And that question is truly my question, because I'm a STEM teaching associate, and there are very many efforts that I personally, with the EdTech company I work for in East Africa, are doing to improve the accessibility of vocational education. And one of them is basically utilizing the STEM curriculum, whereby we design STEM tools that we take to class in the classroom environment to aid learners in incorporating practical skills while learning the practical science concepts, so as to enhance their science learning. And another way we could also do this is through digital education. We also train learners soft skills such as ICT skills, Microsoft skills, and virtual assistant skills, and yeah, the likes. I think those will be enough. I don't know whether I've passed the question, but yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for David. Thank you very much. Okay, we have Ndubisi from Oyo, Nigeria. You picked number 5, and your question is, what measures are in place to continuously evaluate and update vocational education and training in Africa? I'm going to repeat that question. What measures are in place to continuously evaluate and update vocational education and training in Africa?
Okay, good evening. All right, so with the presentation made by Chinazo, there are many measures so far put in place to evaluate the program in Nigeria or in Africa, where you have scholarship programs in a bid to encourage young people going into vocational education programs. We have the NGOs who sponsor most of the female young ones in STEM programs. We also have enterprises that also foster and make scholarship available to young ones who have interest to upgrade their skills in different areas. So this answer, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, I have number 6 from Chuwan Comforts. Hope you're there. Chuwan Comforts. Your question is, vocational education yields higher return than conventional education. True or false? If it's true, tell us why you picked true. If it's false, tell us why you picked false. Chuwan Comforts. Are you there? Chuwan Comfort, are you there? Is anyone willing to answer that question? I'm going to read it again. Vocational education yields higher return than conventional education.
Yes, true. Vocational education yield higher return more than conventional education, because if you look at the situation of Nigeria, let me use as an instance now. There is this adage we're using currently that school is calm. School is calm because it is not what is being taught in school that we practice in our real life. It is not what they taught us in school. That is what we practice. But if you look at vocational education, you find out that those people that did welding, they continue with it and they keep improving. Those people that went into trading, they continue with it and they keep improving. And those people that went into carpentry and the rest of them. I like using Dr. Cosmos Maduka, the president of Koshari's group, as an example when making a reference. He started trading at a very tender age, and after trading, after serving his master, they settled him with $200, and which he turned into a billion naira today. So you find out that it is not he didn't learn it from school. He undergo through a process, and he after learning he practiced it, and it keep improving him up to today. Unlike most of our youths that went through conventional education, and you see somebody that studied political science and end up being a DJ, and someone that studied pharmacy end up being a teacher. You find out that conventional education is not giving the real thing which life entails. It's not giving the real life experience, or unlike vocational education, whereby what you learned is what you stand for, and you keep improving on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zane. Thank you very much. So I have 2 questions left, number 1 and number 7. I don't have any recipients for that. Is anyone willing to take number 1 and number 7? Okay, 1. Zim, I don't want to call your name again. I want another person. Anyone else?
4.
Number 4. Okay, what's your name, please? What is your name, please?
Favor.
Okay, Favor from?
Not from Oyo. Oh,
Okay. The question goes as, I didn't really hear that, but we'll just write on. What are the gender-specific goals of vocational education, and how can we ensure equal access and opportunities for both young men and women in Africa? I'm going to read that again for a clearer understanding. What are the gender-specific goals of vocational education, and how can we ensure equal access and opportunities for young men and women in Africa? Favor, over to you. Favor, are you there?
but I start by ensuring for both female both gender. I think that's what which is what I think that's part to ensure in both acquired and so like I mentioned earlier, nowadays I don't know, there are programs that all of female movement that they encourage them by providing scholarships, and promoting women, also in education. And also there are also programs of so we find also inclusion of both genders in the best program professional. I think the way forward and
Okay, Favor, I cannot really hear you. I don't know if it's my network. I can't really hear you. Because of time, I'm going to throw the last question to the house, and I would like to see everyone's response to this via chat. I'll just call out the answers I'm seeing. So for the last question, which is, pardon?
Time.
Yeah, that was why I said the last question. All right. Vocational skills provides one of these. Number 1, inclusive education, good grades, white collar. What are your thoughts? Inclusive education, good grades, white collar jobs.
Inclusive education.
Inclusive education.
Thank you. I can see inclusive education. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Okay, you can keep dropping your answer. Okay, inclusive education. Inclusive education. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Mohammed, over to you. All right.
Thank you very much, AC, for this wonderful and good icebreaker session. At least our participants are being engaged. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I would like to use this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of a quality education advocate in our midst today, in person of Mrs. Adiola Arofe. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Adiola Arofi is the Director of Education at Temple School, and at the same time, she's also the chairperson of Association of International School in Nigeria, ISEN. You are highly welcome, Ma. Thank you very much for having you here. Ms.
Thank you so much.
Adiola Arofi, thank you very much,
Thank
Ma.
you very much, Mr. Faisal, for that recognition. I appreciate that. This has been a wonderful experience this evening, listening to all the thoughts of the presenters. It has been very enlightening for me. And I was looking forward to having an opportunity to comment at the end of the program. So thank you for the recognition.
Thank you very much, Ma. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a wonderful presentation from our speakers. I believe we now move to the second part of our second segment, which is the panel discussion, the section of question and answer. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the opportunity to ask our speakers questions that they can shed more light on. You can do that by raising up your hand, then we'll give you the opportunity to have the floor. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm seeing a hands up. Okay, Mr. Prince from Nigeria, you have the floor for a 2-minute question. Thank you very much.
I don't think I need up to 2 minutes to ask my question. 1 minute is fine.
Thank you.
So that let's try and be as fast as possible. Thank you so much to all the speakers that have presented. I am learning a lot. In fact, this program has helped me to see VET, in a different way, and I'm already thinking about ways of applying VET in my own community, because I see that this is truly the way forward for us in Africa. So my question is, we talked about someone, I think the second speaker, Mr. Courage, mentioned that there was a time students used to say school na scam here in Nigeria. And the question is VET and normal conventional schooling, which is more important? Because I think that people used to say school na scam because they felt going to university, paying a huge sum of money for university education to get just a degree is a scam, because at the end of the day, no job, no this, no security, nothing, no money. So school na scam. And then they now say, okay, it's better to go and do handwork, go and look for entrepreneurship, go and learn a skill and all of that. So my question is, which is more important? And how do we strike a balance? Any of the speakers can answer this.
Okay, can I speak?
Yes, please. It's a panel discussion.
Okay, I have always maintained that the school na scam slogan is not coming from a place of all honesty. It's coming from a place of frustration and disappointment. Now, for me personally, I feel that to get all or to achieve all, we need to have a balance. I am a civil engineer by training, and if you just work by VET training, then you will not understand or grasp the principles of what you're doing. And recall that the VET training we are talking about is not just picking up a skill at the roadside. It has to be measurable. Your gains, what you're gaining, has to be measured. We have to know that you are taking something in. Remember, we talked about the stakeholders. We talked about the instructors. Who are these people teaching you? What do they know? Who trained them? From where? So these are the questions that needs to be raised. So in answering your question, I think that both of them are important. One helps you to understand the principles of what you're doing, while the other one helps to practicalize what you have learned. So both of them, there needs to be a balance. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. Mr. Prince, are you satisfied? Okay.
No,
Ladies and
if
gentlemen,
anybody,
we'll give.
if anybody has an addition, it's fine. If anybody has an addition, it's fine.
Okay. Our speakers, anybody want to shed more light on?
All right, thank you so much. What our speaker had just really hit the nail on the head. Now, the importance of the VET and academics, the truth is, if you have to ask yourself, where do you fall? Do you fall under, I wanted this, I got that? Somebody walked up to me and said he put him for med lab, they gave him zoology, but he's going because he wants to be a graduate. Those are the set of persons who, after they come out of the school, sometimes about 40% of them end up using that slogan, school na scam, because they will feel, I paid over so and so million going to school, and at the end of the day, I'm looking for a job that will pay me 80,000, 50,000 naira. These days, you see a boat driver will tell you, I'm a graduate. You see a bus driver tell you, I'm a graduate. You see a keke driver tells you, I'm a graduate. Once you hear their English, you know this one is educated. So in summary, I think, like what the first speaker said, they go hand in hand. It's better you have the two. But for me, in my own opinion, I would even want us to put this for a debate, maybe some other time, but not now. Which is more important, A or B? For me, I would choose the VET program as important, because these days, going back at, for example, let me give you a clear example, which is my football idol, Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't think he has a first class degree. I don't think he has any certificate. Messi, I don't think they have. They just went in line to do what they want to do, and they are making waves. Nobody knows me, but they know Cristiano Ronaldo. So the summary is, what you do actually paves way for you eventually, not the school you go. That's why I started with what you went to school to study, or what you wanted to be. When we were young, ask everybody, we all had aspirations, what we want to be. At the end of the day, we found out that we didn't really fall into that line. Only a few fell into that line. Okay, I wanted to be a doctor, I end up being a doctor. Okay, fine. I wanted to be a this, I end up being this. So in summary, I feel both are important, but if I'm to choose, I would prefer the VET program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any addition from our third
can
panelist?
I say something?
You can, please.
Okay. Courage. The both are important. I'll still refer to your Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, Ronaldo can't speak, when he entered the world of football, he can't speak English, but now he can. Why? Because of the education we are talking about. The both he's playing football, he got a knowledge in English language, which he wasn't conversant with before. So you cannot remove them. In my slide, I talked about merging them together. When you are out of the classroom, you go to the vocational training sector. The both of them should work hand in hand. You teach what people are supposed to know about the skills that they are acquiring, and they enter the workforce to learn the practical aspect of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful and insightful contribution. Mr. Zilmuzo Chukwu Namji from the cool city of Enugu, Nigeria, you have the floor for your question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to add a little suggestion, or a little contribution rather, to what to the question being asked, and conventional education and the VET, which one to choose. I think to grade the both of them, like we keep saying, we're trying to see how we marry both of them, so that one will not see the other one as inferior, and the other one will not see the other one as a superior. So we're trying to let a bridge the link between both of them. So that's it. So my question now is, what are the modalities of integrating these VET in the primary and the secondary school level? Because if you look at, if you look at our society today, I take Nigeria as a context, you find out that most people that graduate from primary school to secondary school, they lack one or two basic skills. And when they enter into the university, they end up studying one course like that. And when I come out, they keep telling you that school has come without having any skill. And I think the goal of VET is to try to integrate it whereby before you leave school, you must have a skill. And not having just a skill, but you also have the skill and be good at what you do. So what are the modalities to integrate this into the curriculum? I mean, design the curriculum. How do you bring in this to fit in the conventional curriculum which we have today in school? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Panelists, you had a hearing. Or should he repeat the question?
Zim, please, can you
Hello?
repeat? You know, you asked two questions. So I understood the curriculum part, but the first part, I didn't get it well. Please, can you repeat?
My question is, how do we integrate VET in the primary school and the secondary school curriculum, so that once a child leaves primary school to secondary school, he or she must have acquired one or two skills? And if you look at, I was discussing with somebody today, and I told him that we study, for example, in the secondary school, we study chemistry from the primary, not just in the secondary school class. We study it from the primary, but we keep channeling it from one subject to another until we get to the direction of chemistry. So now, how do you bring in this VET program to fit into the primary school curriculum and the secondary school curriculum, so that at the end of the secondary school, a child have a skill already, so that when he or she is leaving secondary school, he or she already know that this is what I want to do, and that this is the course I will do, and this is where my heart desire is. This is my direction. Do you understand my question? Yes. How do we bring in the VET so that it will fit in the curriculum, so that once they are leaving, they have something upstairs and they know what they want and how to achieve that?
Can I say something?
Oh, Choma.
Okay, Chinazo, Marisa, you can go. Go on.
Okay, let me add. Okay, you know, in my slide, I talked about guidance and counseling service. This is a platform whereby the teachers in the class, they see the students. They know all their capabilities. That's why in their report book, they have weekly report book. They write out, your son is good in this, your daughter is good in this. He should improve more in the other aspect. So you as a parent, you've seen where your child is good at. The teacher have seen it. It is now left for them to guide the child towards that path the child is following. In Africa, is not so. But now we are advocating, parents and teachers, guide your students to the right path. Let them not have a discouragement when they become adults or youths, but let it start from the beginning. If my child is good in drawing or in constructing, channel that energy to that construction or that acting or painting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Engineer Choma, feel free, please. It's a panel discussion. Make your contribution.
I wanted to say something with respect to the policymakers. You know, during my presentation, I talked about the stakeholders. So the stakeholders that influence these things, the curriculum, I think they should be brought on board, because they are the ones that will fit these things into the curriculum, build it in such a way that it will not overburden the child. No, we are talking about primary school and secondary school children. They don't have the same capacity. And the policymakers also need to weed off some subjects that may not be so necessary in order to achieve this, because we still need to understand the ability of the child, the capacity of the child to take in all of these things. So for me, for us to achieve VET in primary and secondary school curriculum, the primary person that should be the focal point or the primary stakeholder that needs to work to get it done are the policymakers. Thank you. Did you hear me at all?
We heard you, Choma.
Thank you.
Yes,
all right.
one more question. One more
Okay.
question. One more question.
Hello, everyone. Hello?
We can hear
Yes,
you.
is that Mr. Kabiru, right?
Oh, yes. Good evening to
Yes,
all.
go ahead with your question, please.
It's not question that I will ask. I want to use this medium to commend the effort of all our presenters that have presented today. You have really done a good job. I have an optimistic that in our group presentation, you will do better than this that you have done today. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Kabiru. Thank you for staying with us. Solomon, okay. Miss Adiola Rofin hand is up. Mrs. Adiola, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening again. It's been a wonderful
Good
evening.
evening.
I just want to commend you all once again. I also have a comment and a question, and I'll try and make it brief. Just to add to support what Mr. Naji said earlier about inculcating VET into the curriculum. It's a big thing right now in education, making the curriculum relevant. And most schools are looking at making sure that they link whatever topic in all subjects to real life scenarios. So it's happening right now. What I would like to ask the panelists is that VET is quite popular in the West. So you find that in Europe and in countries like the UK and Holland, students get to what we call basic, I think they call it JS3. And then they choose if they wish to go the vocational route or if they wish to go the academic route. And it's a very dignified procedure. But here in Nigeria, it's not quite the same. The government encourages vocational education quite all right. And there are institutions here and there that students can go to. But I think generally society doesn't, like one of the speakers said, everybody wants to go to university. So how can we change this? How can we encourage society and schools to begin to advocate for this option for young people? The speaker who mentioned inclusivity, he was spot on. There are a lot of students who go through school struggling with academics, and they have a whole lot of stress from parents, from teachers. But if this option is there, that when they get to a certain level, they can go the vocational route, and it's a dignified option. It might not be so bad after all. So how can we change the mindset of the Nigerian public, of Nigerian people generally, that it's not such a bad idea to get to JS3, SS1, and then decide to go this vocational route? Thank you.
All right. Mr. Mohammed, can I react, please? Moderator, can I?
Yes, Courage, go ahead, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Mommy, for that question and contribution, because the truth is this. I will use myself as a case study. I am into education line, and if not because I love education on a norm, I would have said I wasted my money going to school. Just being honest. When I was young, I wanted to be a doctor because why would I, at that my tender age, why would I want to be a doctor? What do I even know? But I discovered that it's like a mentality placed on you children when you are growing up. The occupation is just always limited to 5. It's either a doctor, number 2, you want to be a pilot, number 3, engineer, number 4, lawyer. You don't see anybody that says you want to be a teacher. It's not really common. Now, the only way out of this is very simple. We need more awareness campaigns. We need the government to have a special packages for those in the vet angle. Okay, it's not about just saying you're going to channel your son from primary 3 or after GSS1 or GSS3, because the idea is as long as you are able to read and write, you've achieved SDG4. Yeah, everybody should be able to read and write. That's one of the targets of the SDG4. So if there is enough awareness campaign to tell these parents that, oh, it's not such a bad idea. Your son wants to go into robotics. Come on, let him come. Your son wants to go into this field. Let him come. Now, earphones, headsets, you see children, 6, 7 years, I call them children. They're already doing something fantastic with it. In China, you can see that, just like you said, in the Western world, you see them, they encourage it. But here in Africa, we are bent on allowing our son, or like my wife would always say, my boy must become a doctor. I say, can you imagine life? How would you say he must become a doctor? Our parents have dictated for us for quite a long time, and the society respects those persons who are into all these career kind of jobs. That's why we keep fighting for white collar jobs. Some people say because of pension, but nowadays it's not because of pension. We know there's job security, there are other things attached to it, but we need to understand that the VET program provides a clear-cut opportunity to bridge the gap in manpower in our country and in the nation at large. Even especially in Africa. Africa is a very fresh and fertile ground. So the only way out is to encourage campaigns, awareness campaigns. Then also the government should be committed. Okay, I cannot say I'm not going to the university. I want to go to learn welding, for example, and I'm coming out and I'm looking, no money for materials, no money for anything. It looks somehow. Now, I did a program sometime in 2019 with Facebook. Facebook came, and after the training, the governor of our state was present, and he was impressed because of what we were doing, and he gave us 100 million naira to 40 of us. And it was like a fresh start for everybody. We became serious with life. We're like encouraged. Now, if the VT program gets such grants, Tony Olumelu Foundation, for example, has grants that they give to individuals who can pitch their ideas. But now let's remove it from pitching idea. Okay, I'm going through this vet channel. What comes out at the end of it? Because I don't have a certificate to present to look for a job in the bank, to look for a job in oil company, but I can end this, I can achieve this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Courage. Thank you so much for that. I think I would only add that it is the government is very, 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 very important when it has to do with um, changing the mindset, because the question is, how did this all begin? You can see that it is just on the value that we have placed on um, going to the conventional school. It's the value that changes everything. So there's much more value on white collar jobs. So it's like if you do not have a degree, in just like uh, our distinguished guest said, Mrs. Adiola mentioned, it is these things are already in the policies. Right now we have a STEM policy, and we also have a NAPTEP policy in Nigeria, National Technical Education Board, right? It's there. And it says that by the time you get to JSS 3, you can be employed, because by JSS 3, a child is supposed to acquire vocational skills. That's the reason for having a technical education board in Nigeria. But the problem lies in the fact that there's still more value placed on being a doctor or having a conventional degree. To even until now, there's still issues with, there's still how do I call it now? There's still some form of, people don't really acknowledge those with HNDs now, even till now in Nigeria. HND, which is from the Polytechnic, which do more of technical education. It's not, you have an HND, some people with HND, they want, everybody's flooding to go and do
Mr.
get a
Prince,
BSc.
thank you very much for your contribution, please. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Can you
yes,
come
yes.
to
So let's
one of our
the
speaker
government.
wants to say
Sorry,
something, please. Thank you.
moderator. Sorry, moderator.
Please, you are not
What I
asking
want to add
question. You are
conclude
not
is
a
that.
speaker. There is time for comments. Thank you very much. We are working on time.
Okay.
Ms. Choma, please, as a speaker, you have a contribution to make. So go on, please.
Okay. Some of these things we for us to go from the norm to what we expect to get to, a lot of advocacy, a lot of things, a lot of advocacy has to be done. It's not easy to tell a parent that, to convince a typical Nigerian parent that is used to, my child has to get to SS3, write WAEC, write NECO, write JAM, get into the university, study, become a graduate, then look for a job. With the stark realities, yes, even with the stark realities that even after graduation, the child may not get a job, we still need to run serious advocacy campaigns to get these people to know that it is better that this child has another option, that you are giving this child an opportunity to learn something else. So advocacy plays a major role. You cannot remove advocacy from these things. And when you're talking about advocacy, you are talking about both advocacy to the people concerned and advocacy to the society, so that they don't see the child as a charlatan. When the child gets out of school at JS3 and then chooses to learn a trade, people don't see the child as a useless child or an unintelligent child. No, it has to be in such a way that people will understand that, just like when we campaigned about HIV and AIDS, people began to began to understand the need for abstinence, the need for so many other things which as relating HIV and AIDS. So it is with this. It will take time. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a one-day affair. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistent, intentional efforts to get to that place. Thank you.
Can I say something? Hello?
Go ahead, Chinelo.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Everybody have talked well, but I will focus on individuals and stakeholders. We can't always wait for the government. If you wait, nothing will be done. As Corey said, they put something forward and the government saw them and encouraged them. So we are to partner with stakeholders. I talked about Google partnering with African Development Bank to create wealth for youth. How are they creating that wealth for youth? Through technology. If more institutions like are built, one, and two, we develop the institution we already have in existence, that is the advertisement you need. Let me take, for example, if Google now comes and build world-class technology institution in Nigeria, let me tell you, children will not go to university again. They will join Google in that their institution. And it can only be achieved when it's affordable. Everybody is looking at sustainable development. This is the only way Africa can develop its entity. If we fold our hands waiting for government, it will not happen. We have to make plans. We, the SDG 4, we have to say, make plans for it. How can we achieve this? What are the plans that we need to put in place? Which partnership are we looking for? Who is going to partner with us? When we put all these things in place, we will see investors, we will still see stakeholders coming up to join us in this race. Thank you.
Mr. Prince, over to you.
Hello guys. Hello everyone. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing night. Should I say, fortunately, unfortunately, our meeting goes into the night. I know we are all tired, and of course, not everyone who starts used to end. So I want to thank everyone who has stayed to this point. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. When you are supposed to do some other thing, you're supposed to be resting, but you are here with us. I hope that everything that you have learned today, this is not just to talk, but let's also think about doing. We've offered some suggestions, we've offered some recommendations. So in your own circle, in your own organization, in your own space, find a way to promote VET, because of course we have all agreed that it is a way forward for African youth. So let's get the word out. Let's contribute to promoting vocational education training in Africa. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate Mrs. Adiola once again for joining us. Ma, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank all the members of the SDG4 team. I mean, you guys are amazing. Please, in the comments, clap for yourselves, all of you. Clap for yourselves, everybody. Like, this team is amazing. I mean, look at the attendance. We were 42 when we started. You guys are amazing. I also want to thank all the speakers, Mr. Courage, Mrs. Choma, Miss Choma, Mrs. Chinazo. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the work. We've had rehearsal upon rehearsal, and today we've made it possible. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I also want to appreciate the moderator, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. It's been amazing with you since we started. You have been very great asset to this team. Thank you, Mr. Zim. Thank you, SA. SA has been the one projecting tonight. And she handled the quiz as well. She has been amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate you all. Thank you to the publicity team who did some great work to make sure that everyone is here. Thank you, Larona, who is my assistant here, but she has been doing a lot of background work. Thank you very much. Have I forgotten any name? But you guys know yourselves. I mean, everyone. Sorry, I cannot mention everybody, but everyone in the team, thank you. God bless you. I want to say that you have a good night. See you in the group. And to all our guests, bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye, bye. See you.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
I think SA is left. SA, thank you so much. And every other person. You guys don't want to go? Should we start part 3? I can see Teresa is still here. Aliyu, Larona Alpha. Larona, say something. Let me hear your voice. Oh, Larona has left off. Okay. Okay. I think as the host, I can now close this meeting.